son and legatee Tejaswi Yadav, who has been declared the chief ministerial face of the Mahagathbandhan, the principal challenger to the NDA. Listen in to the Prime Minister views.
साथियों, आज कांग्रेस के पूर्व अध्यक्ष सीताराम केसरी जी की पुण्यतिथि है। देश कभी नहीं भूल सकता कि किस तरह कांग्रेस के इस परिवार ने सीताराम केसरी जी का अपमान किया था। आज का दिन हमें याद दिलाता है कि कांग्रेस दलितों, पिछड़ों के अधिकार छीनने के लिए क्या कुछ कर सकती है। एक तरफ एनडीए है, ये सूझबूझ से भरा हुआ नेतृत्व है, वहीं दूसरी तरफ लाठियां भाज रहा महागठबंधन है। ये गठबंधन वाले जिन लोगों को चुनाव लड़वा रहे हैं, उससे साफ हो जाता है कि ये पुराने दिन वापस लाना चाहते हैं। जमीन पर इनके प्रचार को सुनिए तो जंगल राज ही याद आएगा। अभी से आरजेडी कांग्रेस के लोग छर्रा, कट्टा, दूनाली और घर से उठा लेने की धमकी देने लग गए हैं।
Viewers, taking the point forward, the Union Home Minister dredged up RJD Shahabuddin file, claiming that Tejaswi has rewarded the mafia by giving a ticket to the Khalnayak of Siwan, when the MGB should have been fielding the next Jan Nayak. Listen in, viewers.
नामांकन के बाद मेरा सबसे पहला दौरा सिवान में हो रहा है। अब आपको लगेगा क्यों सिवान आना चाहते हैं? मैं सिवान की जनता को मनपूर्वक सलाम करने के लिए यहां आया हूं, क्योंकि 20-20 साल तक ये लालू राबड़ी के जंगल राज को ये सिवान की भूमि ने सहा है। शहाबुद्दीन का पूरा खौफ, अत्याचार, हत्याएं, ये सारा सिवान ने सहा है। भूमि लहलुहान हो गई, मगर सिवान वालों ने झुकने का नाम नहीं दिया। लालू रबड़ी राज को समाप्त।
Viewers, of course, questions loom. Tejaswi has hit back at the Prime Minister and Home Minister, accusing them of being Baharis or outsiders. Clearly, Tejaswi forgot that could even be said of his own ally, Rahul Gandhi. But nonetheless, this is what Tejaswi Yadav has said, almost prefacing, preempting what Modi and Shah were going to say. He says, Modi ji factory lagayenge Gujarat mein, victory chahe Bihar mein. That is, Prime Minister Modi sets up factories in Gujarat but wants a victory in Bihar. But this is not going to happen. We are Biharis. We don't get scared of Baharis. If Lalu ji didn't get afraid of Modi, will his son get scared? ED, CBI, income tax cases, raids, 2 people from Gujarat are running Bihar. Tell me, will a Bihari govern Bihar or a Bahari? Otherwise, outsider, question mark, unquote, viewers. This is what Tejaswi said.
अरे मोदी जी फैक्ट्री लगाइएगा गुजरात में, अब विक्ट्री चाहिए बिहार में। ऐसा होने वाला बिहार, देखो हम बिहारी हैं, हम लोग डराए वाला नहीं है, बाहरी से डराए वाला है। ये 2 लोग गुजरात से आकर के बिहार चलाने का काम कर रहे हैं। बताओ सहरसा के लोगों, बिहार को बिहारी चलाएगा कि बाहरी चलाएगा? अरे बिहार को बिहारी चलाएगा कि बाहरी चलाएगा?
Viewers, it's ironic that a young leader like Tejasvi Yadav, who should be championing a forward-looking Bihar, is falling back on the tired tropes of outsider versus insider. At a time when Bihar needs investment, innovation and integration, with India's growth story, such provincial politics sounds painfully outdated. Isn't the choice before Biharis, therefore, not just between two alliances, but between a mindset of stagnation and a promise of resurgence? That's the fundamental question, viewers, tonight. And let's pose it, let's open this up. We have a lot to discuss. Let's have a constructive conversation tonight. I want to first begin with Sanjay Jha, and I want to begin with the Bharatiya Janata Party's national spokesperson, Tuhin Sinha. Mr. Sinha, let me ask you to explain why the Prime Minister has crafted this entire campaign as a choice between what he calls pejoratively a Latbandhan, a Maha Latbandhan, and what he claims are the people who are going to take Bihar into the next century. I've already shown you some statistics. Bihar hasn't been doing very well, even in the last few years, when the BJP has had some say in its governance. There is, forget a stagnation, there's been a decline. So why should we take him at face value? That's an obvious question that anyone would ask.
Well, good evening, Rahul. Good evening, everybody. Rahul, you're not very well versed in Hindi, so forget, I don't think you will be able to understand Bhojpuri. But let me explain the words of the Bhojpuri song, which RJD supporters have been playing across districts of Bihar. भैया के आवे दे सत्ता में रे उठा ले सटा के कट्टा घरे से रे. Let Teju Bhaiya come to power. We will kidnap you by putting a desi pistol on your head. Imagine the audacity of these people. They want to revive Jungle Raj in Bihar. And I have personal memories of it. I have grown up in undivided Bihar in Jamshedpur. Suddenly when these people came to power, I remember I was in standard 8, and suddenly after, going out after 6:30 when it would be dark had become impossible. I had to quit my cricket practice because my parents didn't allow me. These people want to revive that era so brazenly. And, add to that the atrocious statement of Congress leader Imran Masood, who's reaching out to fundamentalist groups, who's reaching out to radical groups in certain parts of Simanchal with his, equivalence of Shahid Bhagat Singh, of Hamas with Shahid Bhagat Singh. So this is what these people are offering to Bihar. The only Bahari, mind you, the only Bahari in these elections is the opposition leader of opposition who disappears abroad for 15 days on the eve of elections. What we have given to Bihar in the last 20 years, there could be temporary phases of decline. But, if you just go through some statistics, from 3,300 kilometers stretch of national highways in 2005 to 6,000 kilometers of national highway, from 350 kilometers of rural highways to 1 lakh plus kilometers of rural highways. In fact, in the last 10 years, 2015, the poverty rate of Bihar was 40%. Today it stands at 4%. In just the last 10 years, it has had one of the biggest success in curtailing poverty. So yes, there are temporary phases where you will see stagnation or decline. But I think, there is no comparison with what Bihar has seen with the dark days. Champa Biswas, the wife of IAS officer who was raped by a close associate of Lalu Yadav. And the rape went on even when Rabri Devi was in power. Shilpi Gautam case, when the close aides of Sadhu Yadav, the brother-in-law of Lalu Yadav, was involved. And these people again want to give teasers and, trailers of what they want to bring back to Bihar. So I think, Bihar has made a very clear choice. It's a choice between light and darkness. And Bihar, like Prime Minister Modi said today, will never go back to those days when, Biharis would require a Laltin again.
Okay, so let me bring in Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, look, Tejasvi Yadav represents a young Bihar. From what I've been told, the statistics suggest that 30% of the Gen Z voter constitutes the population of Bihar. So obviously at 35 years of age, he has a direct connect, an automatic one. But he gives Shahabuddin's son a ticket. His father says that I owe a debt of gratitude to Shahabuddin. Shahabuddin, who was sentenced to jail, convicted for the killings of 2 individuals, actually 4 in total, but in 3 separate cases, now dead. There you can see those photographs. His party is putting out songs or spreading them which are overtly casteist. A few years ago, someone wrote a book called H-Pop, critiquing communal songs they attributed to the Hindutva side of the fence. Obviously, these casteist songs, which I can show you visuals of that I think Tuhin Sinha referred to, and we can just put them out. There you have it, which talk about eliminating those who don't vote for the Mahagathbandhan, etc., etc. This is a call to the old mafia sort of politics, the reward, the ticket, this. And then, of course, he's talking about outsiders, insiders. I mean, a large number of Biharis go and work in different states. There they have faced discrimination. A large number of these leaders have protested against that. Today they're playing that same parochial card in reverse. You'll accept investment that comes in, but not the people. I don't understand what is going on. This is not the kind of politics that, I'm sorry to say, but a young aspiring leader who has dreams for Bihar is going to take forward. This is hardly a change.
Good evening, Rahul, and to all my fellow panelists on the program. Let me try and come to the point right away. I have very low expectations actually from Mr. Modi's speeches after his Bhains and Mangal Sutra and Mutton and Machli and Mujra speeches he gave last year. I have zero expectations from India's political CEO. And you know what? Narendra Modi never disappoints me at all. Progressively, he reaches, I think, the bottom of the barrel. Let me tell you the truth here. जंगल राज नहीं, महा जंगल राज हो चुका है बिहार में. मेरे दोस्त सिन्हा जी, मैं भी बिहार का हूँ, राहुल. Trust me, I don't live there anymore. I grew up there in my early years.
Why?
And I have enough relatives and friends who give me the real truth that Bihar is all about under the Modi BJP and the Nitish Kumar JDU. Gopal Khemka, नाम तो सुना होगा, Sinha Sahib, killed in broad daylight in Patna. Bihar is number 2 as per NCRB data in terms of the crime levels. And Mr. Modi has the audacity to mislead the people of the state where he's gone to campaign. I mean, this is like insulting the intelligence of the fellow Biharis in Bihar. He's coming to Bihar, he's campaigning in Bihar, and you're lying to them. What do you take Biharis to be? I mean, what do you think? We Biharis are fools or what? Can the Prime Minister learn to respect us? I mean, I would like to remind Mr. Modi and the BJP today through your very popular program, Rahul. R.K. Singh, a BJP leader and not too long ago a member of parliament and part of Mr. Modi's government. He's told the people of Bihar, don't vote for Samrat Chaudhary. And you know who is Samrat Chaudhary? The BJP's president, or rather former president, whom they want to make the chief minister in case the BJP in its wildest dreams were to win. That is a BJP leader warning the people of Bihar not to vote for the BJP.
Okay.
ये हाल है बीजेपी का.
There are many people who have left. Okay.
Let me finish, Rahul. I won't take too long. Chirag Paswan, an ally of that party. Last time, the BJP used JDU and LJP to destroy each other. They destroyed the JDU. Now, Chirag Paswan is openly said after the Jungle Raj in Bihar, and these are his words, not mine, I feel ashamed to support the NDA. ये हाल है बीजेपी का अंदरूनी हालत. And I'll tell you what, you touched upon it briefly. Youth unemployment is double-digit levels.
That's fine, but Mr. Jha,
Bihar is number 1 in hunger,
understand.
poverty,
it's not,
and per capita income is the lowest.
Okay, see, at least I have been intellectually honest by putting out the facts there, right? But I fault you for not being. I asked you a simple question. Yes, Mr. Jha, you left the state. You left like many others have because there were no prospects, right? I'm sure. So you left. You now claim it's the repository of Jungle Raj under the NDA. Just 2 years ago, of course, Tejasvi Yadav was a deputy chief minister. Nothing changed under his watch. fundamentally, if it is a repository of Jungle Raj, why is Tejaswi Yadav giving the epitome of Jungle Raj, Shahabuddin son, a ticket? I mean, that's got to count for something, right?
Yeah, sure. Uska mere paas jawab hai, Rahul. Please, I'll give you an answer. Can you please tell your producer to get out the data? The maximum number of criminal candidates are from the BJP fielded in this election.
Now, one second. Yes, so you want to show yourself. BJP. Obviously, Sanjay Jha, it's not a competition to the bottom of the barrel, right? You use the phrase. So if you want to go the opposite direction, you would say, I will not give even one criminal candidate or person with criminal antecedents a ticket. I wouldn't even project them as a chief minister. The son of a person convicted in 5 cases that Rahul Gandhi said deserves no mercy, virtually tearing up some sort of an ordinance, or at least criticizing his government for creating a shield, is today the MGB's chief ministerial face. A court in Delhi has said that there are serious allegations, charges against him of misdemeanor, of a criminal nature, corruption. And Shahabuddin's son gets a ticket. So I'm not understanding, what are we defending here?
Well,
as far as I see it, you're in no better boat.
Example, Rahul, a very important example, and this is very important. Vibha Devi, the wife
just
of the
answer my question. If you were the boss, I understand. If you were the boss, Sanjay Jha, if you were the boss of a party committed to transparency and swachhta in politics, would you give Shahabuddin's son a ticket? Would you project the legatee of a criminal as your chief minister? Just a question.
Yes, sir. So let me give you an honest answer. If I was the leader of a party, or if I was the head of this country, I would not have criminals in my cabinet. And you should ask this question of Mr. Modi.
Now you see, viewers, that's whataboutery. You're the alternative. Okay, let me open this up further.
I wouldn't, to answer your question.
So Sanjay Jha, you're not taking an honest position tonight. Let the audience note this.
Check the political system we have.
Okay, fine. That's fine. So everyone then, obviously, everyone rushes to the, is it a race to the bottom of the barrel because someone else is doing it, we must do it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fair enough. That's your view. Then the people will decide who is the better evil. Okay. Yes, very quickly, Mr. Sinha, you want to respond? I just want to open this up.
Just 10 seconds. Perhaps Sanjay is a non-resident Bihari. He left Bihar so early that he's not aware of who Shahabuddin was.
Okay, so one second. Rhetoric aside. Okay, I understand. I've asked that question. Let me just bring in Mr. Pawan Verma. 1 second. Let me bring in Pawan Verma. Let's get somebody who's looking at it from a third perspective. 1 second.
10 seconds.
No, 1 second. Now, 1 second. Gentlemen, please. I didn't want us. I thought you were making something, a newer point. Fine. Then he'll want to respond and Pawan Verma will be marginalized and so will Mr. Gupta. So, 1 second. I know everyone knows about Shahabuddin. I think anyone who's halfway literate knows about Shahabuddin. Yes. Now, Pawan Verma, I have to ask you a question. Look, it's a very simple one. I know that the Jan Swaraj is trying to forge a new path. You're trying to bring in a new dimension to the politics. Good luck to you. But I have to ask you a question. Objectively speaking, when the Prime Minister says that Bihar cannot afford to relapse, is he right or is he wrong?
The Prime Minister is right. Let me say that to you. The Prime Minister's assessment of Jungle Raj is dead on the spot. Nobody wants the lawlessness, the Gunda Raj, the violence, the extortion of the Jungle Raj to return again. But since you yourself said that I am the spokesman representative of a third alternative in Bihar, which has emerged very strongly, I want to ask you, Rahul, when we speak of Mahagathbandhan versus NDA and make a clear distinction, one is black and one is white. Let's ask ourselves, okay, Tejaswi Yadav is 9th pass. He is neither a savvy representative of Gen Z, nor does he have the initial profile of Lalu Yadav's social justice plank. He's nothing. He's a son of a leader, a Parivarvadi, who doesn't care for the Yadavs or the Muslims, cares for his family. Let's accept it. But on the other hand, the Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar is Samrat Chaudhary, whose 10th failed, who has been to jail for a genocide and was released only on the basis of a false certificate relating to his age. He lied to the Election Commission and the Supreme Court and revealed his own mistake in his 2020 affidavit to the Election Commission, by which he revealed that in 1995, when he got released on the basis of a juvenile certificate, he was 26 years old. So you have on the one hand, Shahabuddin, very bad, extremely bad, needs to go, and I fully agree with the Prime Minister, who has given Anand Singh a ticket, who has given Hulas Pandey a ticket. These are muscle men, Balu Mafia, Liquor Mafia. So now when you make a choice, on the one hand, during the Jungle Raj, Bihar had a tough time. But today, from 2005 onwards, we have had Nitish Kumar, who brought about a change initially, but then lapsed into where he is today. For the last 20 years, by and large, we've had NDA rule. 11 years double engine Sarkar. Why is it that 30 years before, Bihar was the poorest and most backward state in the country, and 30 years later, in spite of the 20 years of NDA and double engine, Bihar is still the poorest and most backward state in the country, with the lowest per capita income, 50% women illiterate, highest unemployment, highest rate of out-migration. Now the question you have to ask is that you must be objective in your assessment. Yes, the Jungle Raj evokes the most nightmarish memories.
Right.
But you had a chance, you had an opportunity. You have been in power for 20 years.
Okay.
What have you done to change Bihar?
Okay.
Name an industry, and this Bahari versus Bihari. If I may just finish with one last line. The Prime Minister has all the rights to campaign in Bihar. So does Rahul Gandhi, so has any Indian. But why is it that for 20 years an investment summit is being held in Gujarat? Millions and billions of dollars have come. Why is there vibrant Gujarat? And why has no industry come to Gujarat, to Bihar? Why are only fast trains being built to take out laborers from Bihar? 5 lakh of them work in Surat.
Okay.
What is the investment in Bihar?
What is the investment in Bihar? These are questions. Mr. Gupta, would you like to take some of these questions? Because fundamentally, as I said, this is now a fight for Bihar's future. Forget the past for a moment. Who has the credibility to lead it? Who could be the Jan-Nayak?
Good evening, Rahul. Look, when it comes to Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, they have the unique distinction that whenever elections come up in these two states, the history of certain political parties also becomes a deciding factor for the voters. In the case of RJD today, the voters of Bihar, especially in the urban pockets, they recall the volatility in the economic activities. The women recall the law and order issues, and that is what prevents them, nudges them away from the RJD. Today, you talk to a lot of women on the ground, irrespective of the economic standing. They recall the Jungle Raj of Lalu Prasad Yadav and how it tormented them across the decade. You talk to the people who were running whatever economic activities they could run, limited resources. They also appreciate the BJP and the NDA for whatever stability they could get into Bihar. Now, coming to the Congress and the RJD, let's look at Rishwi Yadav's promise. He says that Bihar has 2.8 crore households. I want to give a job, a government job, to every single household. 2.8 crore households. Even if I take a conservative figure of 20,000 rupees per month as salary, 240,000 rupees per year, that's a budget in salaries alone of 6.7 lakh crore, Rahul. The budget of Bihar, the expenditure budget of Bihar is 3.16 lakh crore. So Rishwi Yadav's mathematics and economics is all over the place. But because he wants to fool the voters in the name of government jobs, he's making such a promise. Absolutely nothing about how private investment will be ushered. Look at the Congress, Kanhaiya Kumar. in a press conference openly says, oh, the Modi government is building highways because they want to steal the resources of Bihar. Have you heard a logic so absurd? And I understand Sanjay Jha's excitement with respect to the RJD and the Congress, but the truth is, even Sanjay Jha, with all his talent and merit, cannot go back to Bihar and set up an industry in the jungle Raj of Lalu Prasad Yadav. The extortion was so blatant. Books and newspaper articles, a lot of literature has already been published about it. Today, Rahul, the people of Bihar have to make a choice. Are they going to be the fish that is given, that is sort of caged every year in the name of promises and government jobs? Or is it going to be someone that actually wants to enable itself? And last point about investments, which the General Secretary of Jan Swaraj brought up. We have to acknowledge Bihar and Uttar Pradesh have a lot of legacy issues, which sort of doesn't make them comparable to a state like Gujarat or Tamil Nadu or even Karnataka for that matter, or even Maharashtra. But in the last 11 years, the welfare model of the Modi government, from toilets to tap water to cylinders to houses to bank accounts, you name it, the per capita penetration has been highest in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So you are tackling the legacy issues first, then you're focusing on the infrastructure, and the next obvious step is, of course, private investment. But the RJD says, forget private investment. Let's give everyone a government job, even though its fiscal impossibility has been clearly acknowledged.
Yeah, I would focus on creating industry and jobs organically rather than constantly making people dependent on the udders of the state. So that fundamentally, I think some people will agree with me on that. But look, we've heard 4 different aspects, viewers. I don't want to get into a crossfight because we'll be spending the whole evening here, and this is not exactly, the stage in Sivan. I would just leave you to think about these points. I think we've had a very honest, brutally honest discussion about the foibles and, of course, the plus points of both sides. There's a third dimension to this. I think the people will now decide where they want to go with this. Opt for continuity, opt for change. I don't know what change represents. There's another definition, viewers. Does it represent a break from the past, if that means Jan Swaraj? Or does it mean a new face in Tejasvi? I don't know, viewers. We'll have to see. 12 days left. Take a short break. But we're moving on to a very big story, viewers, which has really set a national debate. This is it. Listen now. Watch. Viewers, let's get straight to the point. In a fresh swirl of controversy, Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra has become the eye of a storm after she appeared to back a social media post widely condemned as racist. The post, for your reference, used obnoxious pejoratives to characterize Indians. And here it is for your reference, viewers. This is the image of the original racist post. It's to the right. We have blurred out some of the more offensive words. But fundamentally, viewers, this particular post was put out by an individual called Nate, who was completely besides himself with almost xenophobic hate because some Indians decided to break convention in a pocket of the West and extend their Diwali celebrations. Viewers, at the bottom of this post, Mahua Moitra says, I agree with the entire characterization of Indians, some of which I can't even begin myself to talk about. But suffice to say, words were used which suggest that Indians in some way and their festival in some way are beneath any contemplation of civility. In fact, Diwali was called garbage and Indians were called brain dead and so on and so forth, and then F-bombs were thrown liberally in this post. But the I agree endorsement triggered a massive backlash online and in political circles, with the BJP gunning for Moitra, who backtracked. Moitra came out and said, just clarifying, my Twitter feed was showing a lot of videos and I meant to say I agree to a video just below the racist one by some Nate. My mistake, traveling and didn't check till now, thanks. She referred to a post that I had put out for calling me out, but to the genuine mistake, sorry trolls, unquote. But critics led by the Bharatiya Janata Party allege her explanation is a quote lie, unquote, and insist that this isn't a misstep but an act of malice. They said Moitra also agreed with another post from an Indian this time, who was in an act of self-loathing schooling his compatriots to live by the rules of Western societies they have chosen to make their homes rather than embarrass Indians. Shahzad Poonawalla has come out and said after endorsing anti-India and anti-Hindu hatred, Mahua Moitra chickened out and deleted the tweet and gave some lame excuse, but lies don't last. Just after a reply, she quoted a video on same topic that targets Indians and Diwali. She's lying. TMC hates India, Hindus and Diwali. They love Rohingyas, unquote. Now, Moitra's camp says she intended to agree to a different video and mistakenly endorsed the offensive one, which is something that, of course, Moitra herself has clarified. But the BJP says the damage is deliberate and demands accountability. Whether she did knowingly or not is only known to Moitra. But it does seem strange that an MP who is articulate and vocal didn't, to begin with, express herself in her own words. On the face of it, this agree sounds like woke entitlement crossing the line. A certain degree of entitlement viewers and self-loathing. That's what some people are suggesting. Let's open this up, viewers. Tausif Khan is here with us. He's a TMC supporter, lawyer, political analyst. We also have Akhil Swami. And of course, we have the BJP's national spokesperson, Tuhin Sinha. Now, Tausif Khan, Mahua Moitra is no stranger to controversy. She in the past has characterized a large number of Indians as misogynist, sexually repressed in interviews. There have been criticisms which have been slightly pejorative of Indians and their attitudes to life and other things. But this, many people say, is at one with her loathing of Indians in general. She's a member of parliament, so she does take the support of Indians. Why hold them in such contempt by roundly agreeing with all sorts of views? I mean, she could have expressed, I have no problems if you wanted to express derision against some people who might have taken the law into their own hands. Do it in your own words. But why sort of outsource that, and then when you're sort of tripped up, you kind of backpedal, but the facts don't seem to back you up?
No, facts very much say what it is. Okay. You see, Mahua Moitra has clarified the tweet and she tagged you also. The question is, the BJP camp have no other topics to talk about. They cannot think of anything else. Therefore, they are harping on this, which is already clarified by Mahua Moitra herself as a genuine mistake. And as a human who is traveling and scrolling through the social media, and by mistake, she could have written agreed. It's a one word, agreed, and repost. Therefore, yes, the facts suggest that yes, it could be a genuine mistake. And even if it is not, when she has clearly said that it is a genuine mistake, and I'm sorry, trolls, then there is nothing left for any trollers to continue dragging this issue.
Okay.
Yes, you want to talk about something productive.
Okay,
yes,
talk about something substantive and productive.
There are member of parliament, all sorts of people across the world.
Okay.
Who there are racists, there are people filled with hatred, there are people who are targeting this Diwali celebration.
I think even you would agree, Tausif Khan, you would agree that, look, I mean, I'm willing to give somebody the benefit of doubt, but this is perhaps the only thing she could have said in her defense. I'm only asking you, why even endorse views that are being expressed by others? The footage is available to everybody. She could have written her own original post or original take on it. Why does she have to like X or Y or not X and but Y? Why would you even want to endorse another view? Which...
No, it happens as she herself explained that she was traveling.
Okay, so she was traveling, she made a mistake. Okay, so let me ask... Fair enough. Let me ask the BJP's national spokesperson, Mr. Sinha, why then is the BJP not letting bygones be bygones, so to speak? Why is it making an issue? Why does it suggest that there is malice?
Well, good evening, Rahul. Good evening, everybody. While while Mahua Moitra is a compulsive offender, I'm still shocked by her conduct this time. You know, this self-flagelling mindset of some of our opposition leaders, you know, the perpetual India hate is disgusting to say the least. And how different is her comment compared to Rahul Gandhi saying we are fighting our fight is against Shakti? How different is it from Mamata Banerjee, you know, abhorring the cries of Jai Shri Ram and threatening people that she would arrest them? How different is it from you know what Imran Masood has said today? He has equated Shahid Bhagat Singh with Hamas. And of course, we know of so many opposition leaders who have a perpetual distaste for Holi and Diwali. They never crop up when festivals of other religions are celebrated. But when it comes to Mahua Moitra, what kind of excuse is she giving that she's traveling? You travel a lot. I travel a lot. In fact, you know, our travel only makes us a little more conscious of what we are tweeting. A member of parliament, after being in office for 6 years, if she has no control over her, you know, over her fingers, over her mindset, I think she should better quit and, you know, spend all her life traveling. What kind of excuse is this? I think, you know, I would have appreciated if she would not have behaved so cowardly and come out and said that, yes, I, Mahua Moitra, hate Indian festivals. I have no regard for it and I travel outside during festivals, just like Rahul Gandhi went all the way to South America to celebrate Navratri or for whatever he went to South America this time for 15 days. But she's also a coward. I think that is the important point over here. She couldn't stand up when people found out her, you know, distaste for Indians and Diwali, her racist mindset.
Okay. Akhil Swami, the BJP said it fits a pattern that there are a large number of India bloc leaders who basically beat down on their own homeland. This fits a pattern. They're sort of over-woke, and that leads to a certain degree of self-flagellation.
See, Rahul, first of all, what Tawfiq has said, I agree with that, because Mahua Moitra has clarified the issue should be set to rest. Number one.
No, but would you have been so accepting, Mr. Swami? Let me ask you a question. Would you have been so accepting had this mistake been made by a NDA or a BJP specific member of parliament? I'm sure you wouldn't have been, and there have been instances in the past where they have also come out and tried to sort of weasel out of something that they might have done on social media, made inappropriate comments, for example, or Nupur Sharma, for instance, who was hung out because she sort of was instigated by somebody and said something that she later said that, look, I'm willing to apologize for, I didn't mean it, but I was instigated. But I didn't see anyone sort of suggesting that that might have been an inadvertent error. In fact, they said that she was an Islamophobe. So by the same token, Mr. Tuhin Sinha is saying that this reeks of a certain Hindu phobia, Hindu-mesia.
See, Rahul, Mahua Moitra is also a Hindu. And the politicians from Tamil Nadu also are from Hindu religion. It's a different point. They follow Periyar, and the followers of Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, who do not do idol worshipping, are also Hindus. So what type of Hinduist, the explanation and the as to what the Hinduism is, I don't agree with that, because Hindus have different type of versions and they have different type of traditions. Number one. Number two, Mr. Giraj Singh says that anybody who takes government doles and uses government roads and do not vote for BJP is a namak haram. Would we discuss that also? Now, BJP member of parliament say that Mr. Modi is an incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu. So, Hind was taking example of that Hamas has been compared with Sardar Bhagat Singh.
But it's a fact. That has happened.
Do we accept?
I mean, we have India bloc, we've had India bloc parliamentarians and leaders come out and justify the fact that Hamas leaders were given a platform at the height of the Israel-Gaza war. You know this, sir. It happened in Kerala. So I'm only saying that there is a larger pattern. Why not just come and accept it, or come out and apologize? And the party, the TMC, sort of looked the other way. There has been no show cause, nothing. There's been no action. The Congress looked the other way. Tuhin Sinha, nonetheless, please respond to Akhil Swami.
Let me answer your question.
Yeah, answer your question.
Let me answer your question first.
Yeah.
See, Taliban government is not recognized by any government of the world. And we invite the Taliban minister here and they do not allow the
No,
women
it is
to participate
recognized.
in
I
the
don't
press
think you.
conference. And
I don't
then
think you know
we
your
open
geopolitics. It's
we-
recognized by China.
we
It's
open
recognized
embassy
by
in Taliban.
No, one second.
We
One second.
open
First of all, the
embassy in
facts.
Afghanistan.
No, one second. First
So
of all, the
what type of
facts.
policy is it?
One second,
What type of policy?
Mr.
Do we
Swami.
want to make India a Taliban state?
Mr. Swami, there are enough people
we
who
want
come
to
on. No,
make
one minute.
India Taliban
I'll tell
state?
you. I'll tell you. If you're talking about women repression and all of that, there are enough people who come out and justify the imposition of the hijab also in this country. So let's not forget that and say it's a choice matter.
Hijab
Anyhow,
for
two in
Muslims is good.
Sinha.
Hijab for Muslim is good.
Let
right.
not Mr.
There you go.
Let Mr. Swami not obfuscate the issue. I don't know from where he's bringing the Taliban, because Taliban is the official government of Afghanistan for the last 4 years. So that's a separate issue. Point is, I would still have had respect for Mahua Moitra if she had said, I wanted to write, I disagree, but it was a typo. Imagine the kind of puerile excuse that she comes up with, and this is the same person. Can I mention? I can't even mention the kind of word she has used against Nishikant Dubey, which had to be expunged from Parliament. Do you recall how she would plead in front of, in front of fundamentalist groups in April this year, please don't resort to violence? So I think, I would appreciate if she comes out and says that, yes, I, Mahua Moitra, identify with Rohingya traditions and I take great pride in Rohingya traditions. I despise Hindu festivals. I think, I would really respect her on the day she comes out and comes out of the closet and says this in the open.
Okay, well, viewers, you've heard all sides. I leave it for you to look through this. Was this an inadvertent slip? Or was this part of a serial exercise in self-flagellation? I leave it to you. The jury's out, viewers. Moving on, viewers. Despite US President Donald Trump's escalating threat of sanctions on India for trading with Russia in oil and energy, Prime Minister Modi has refused to compromise India's strategic autonomy. Given the stupendous and perhaps game-changing role played by Russia's impressive S-400 Triumph surface-to-air missile defense system in the recent India-Pak war, Prime Minister Modi has gone ahead and cemented a deal worth 10,000 crores for the acquisition of SAMs, or surface-to-air missiles with ranges of 120, 200, 250 and 380 kilometers that actually make up the panoply of missile systems that are compatible with the S-400 missile defense system. The purchases that will definitely irk Trump at a time when he is trying to choke Putin's fund sources. So yes, Prime Minister Modi has surrendered, but only to India's national interest. And that in itself deals a blow to the scurrilous surrender raga sounded time and again by the Congress party. At least that's what some people will say. And remember, viewers, this sword that the United States has been dangling over India about the S-400s predates Trump. In fact, in the Biden era, there was a threat of imposing sanctions against India if we went ahead with the purchase of the S-400s by kicking into motion the CAATSA or CATSA, which is a punitive sanction, viewers, against India, like it had been done for Turkey. So I just want to open this up and ask some basic questions. First of all, to Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, this decision to move ahead with the purchase comes at a time when Trump is sanctioning Russia. The EU is also now sort of sanctioned Russia and energy supplies, and it is doing so because it wants to choke any ability of Putin to raise resources to fund his war. Now, if someone is purchasing weapon systems worth 10,000 crores, that would obviously at some level allow Mr. Putin to collect the money to do what he wants to do or intends to do, as he's accused of doing in Ukraine. So how do you see this purchase by the Prime Minister on the behalf of the government, this deal that has been struck? I think you're on mute. Yeah. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm sorry. I think you need to distinguish the oil purchases from the defense purchases. Because the oil purchases, as was made very clear, was being done on economic principles. And as long as those economic principles hold, we'll continue to import oil from Russia. of course, if, for example, the burden of sanctions becomes too big, then we will have to rethink our oil supplies from Russia. But in any case, the oil sanctions that have been imposed on Russia are not immediate. They are, in a sense, there is a certain delay by when they will kick in.
Mid-November.
Because
Yeah.
mid-November in some cases, even longer in others, depending on what are the kind of contracts, even because even European countries were buying Russian oil and gas. So that's still some distance away. On the defense purchases, again, for anybody to say that if you are buying the missile systems from Russia right now, this is some kind of a new purchase, it's not. See, if we were buying new batteries, and that is also under consideration, then it would be a completely new purchase that we were doing from the Russians. But this is basically beefing up what we already have. Now, this is something similar to the Americans saying that, okay, fine, we will supply AMRAAM missiles to Pakistan because Pakistan has already bought F-16 aircraft and those need to be kept serviceable. So this is in a manner of speaking. I don't know if it applies to this particular case or not. This is a kind of grandfathering of a purchase that had already been made. And in any case, Rahul, it's not that that money is going to be given up front and those missiles. It's not
true. I understand that, but a red flag. Trump is somebody who's unpredictable. The Biden administration, and I'll quote it, made it clear to India that it was, quote, discouraging, unquote, India from going ahead in the initial period. I'm talking about 2022 with the acquisition of this missile defense system from Russia because it'll have to weigh important geostrategic considerations while taking a decision on growing calls for a presidential CAATSA waiver to New Delhi. We got that CAATSA waiver out of Biden, but we may not be so lucky out of Trump. He's going to use every leverage. And therefore, this becomes redolent with symbolism.
No, but see, Rahul, that is, this is something like the retrospective taxation that we used to have. Now, if you're going to start applying that, then it's a different ball game altogether. But I think the calculation in India is that because this is an old purchase and we are simply beefing up our stocks, this is a completely different ball game. Secondly, the money is not being given up front. These missiles are not coming tomorrow and the money is not being given day after. This will take some period of time before this entire transaction runs through. Thirdly, I think we will also have to consider somewhat that, look, Russia has been a great friend. It's been an ally. It's been a very good defense partner. But somewhere along the line, we will have to consider in the new geostrategic realignments that are taking place, Russia is supplying similar weapon systems to, for example, China and Turkey, both of which are very, very close friends of Pakistan. How much of information sharing is between them and Pakistan on these very systems, which we will be depending on very
that is true of a large number of defense suppliers. That's true of America. America supplies, as you yourself have just said, weapons and ammunition to Pakistan. And of course, there are other individuals who are not very well disposed towards India either that sort of receive all this. So I think that is a general sort of cautionary note that needs to be struck. But fundamentally, viewers, Trump will see anything and everything as an instigation. And it does take some amount of gumption to forge ahead against a consensus that has been spelt out by the Americans in the past. We might have our nuanced differences, but I think that one can't be blind to the fact that the Trump administration will see this at some level as India underlining its ties with Moscow once again. So, Akhil Swami, that brings me to the question that with India showing no signs really of moving away from Moscow, this whole business of surrender to Trump seems to now be a scurrilous campaign, which is really political rather than substantive.
Rahul, I don't think it is political. See, I need clarifications on 3-4 issues. I'll be very thankful if they are clarified. Number one, do the world recognizes America as a boss of the world? Who is America to dictate terms to other countries if it is economically beneficial for us to import the oil from Russia and where we are getting cheaper? Who is America to dictate terms to one? Number one. Number two, is a clarification from the Reliance Industries spokesperson is not clear that we are reducing the oil supply from Russia as per the new policy of the government of India. Number two. Number three, that if we are importing 30% cheaper oil from Russia, why the users of petrol and diesel in India are not getting subsidized rates? America says that in China...
That's a separate question. Let's stick to the first two. Let me push those two questions to Mr. Sushant Sareen. Let him respond. Yes. Mr. Sareen, you heard the questions.
So, Rahul, it's not so difficult. Here is the thing. America is nobody to dictate to us. Okay? Very clearly. But just as America has its own policy, we have our own policy.
Yeah.
Now, for the gentleman on your show to claim that, America is telling us to do something. Yes, America will tell us to do something. We can decide whatever we want to decide. And then America will decide what it wants to decide. And if it says that, well, I am going to put certain sanctions on you, then either we have to bear those sanctions, as I'm sure the gentleman, Mr. Swami, I believe his name is, will be very happy to bear and will be very happy to undertake the costs which come with it, costs in real lives, costs in industrial devastation, and families getting devastated because of joblessness that will be created, because it is not possible for you to have markets or replace markets immediately. Now, if we are ready to pay that cost and Mr. Swami stands with the government of India, which I'm sure he will not, he will scoot the first moment that happens because then make that an issue, then it's a different problem, right? So a government of the day cannot take a very cavalier attitude. It will have to balance out foreign policy priorities, domestic priorities, economic pain that it can take and it should take and what it cannot take. And I'm sure everybody understands that. So this is about the relative negotiating powers of countries. We might not like what the Americans are doing, and I certainly don't, but there are some ways that you have to find some kind of a middle path if that one is possible. Otherwise, be ready to take the pain if you want the pain, or you say, okay, fine, I'm not going to take the pain. I will give in to everything Trump is asking because he can ask for it, get away with it. On the second issue, again, see, number one, a private company will decide on its own profit lines on where it will buy oil from. If it's profitable for them to buy oil from Russia, they will buy oil from Russia. If the discounts from Russia get pared down and it's no longer makes economic sense, or there are other costs going to be attached because you are buying Russian oil, you can't force the hands of a private company to say that no, you will have to buy from Russia because I want you to do it.
Akhil Swami, quick one before I bring in Mr. Markov, Dr. Markov. Yes.
See, the basic point is that if the intention of America is putting highest sanctions on India is trade deal, and I'm telling you, within 15 days, all the media will be discussing as the India has succeeded in getting a trade deal with America.
Mr. Swami, let's make a substantive intervention. Look, I don't think it's in anyone's interest not to have a trade deal with the United States. It's just that you have to examine the fine print of the deal to see how much we've conceded before we can suggest. I mean, are you making the signing of a trade deal an issue? Surely or not? Surely or not? Oh, really? Oh, that is viewers, I'll tell you. No, I mean, how do you know? Why are we having these protracted sanctions if we were being forced and we were expecting and we were rolling over? No, I'm sorry, please. Mr. Swami, please.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're shifting our focus now. A Bengaluru-bound private bus carrying around 40 passengers caught fire early today in Andhra Pradesh's Kurnool district, killing at least 20 people. The bus collided with a two-wheeler which got trapped under the vehicle and struck the fuel tank, triggering the massive blaze. What makes this tragedy even more concerning is the bus's troubling history of 16 outstanding challans, including overspeeding, dangerous driving and violations for no entry. Furthermore, the driver was reportedly operating the bus without a valid driver's license. The state government has condoled the deaths, and questions are now being raised over the safety of these buses. In response, Prime Minister Modi has also gone on to announce a 2 lakh rupees ex gratia for the victims' families.
Sir, what exactly happened and why did this fire accident take place? What is the reason behind this fire accident, sir?
This accident is unfortunate, and we are very deeply condemning this incident. At the time of morning 2:45, up to our knowledge, department, what is the information our department has collected, one scooter has gone under the bus, front side of the bus, and the tank busted and electric circuit has failed. A total bus caught with fire.
Sir, what is the number of casualties which have been reported and also how many passengers were traveling when this incident had taken place?
More than 40 to 42 passengers are in the bus when the incident has took place. Now the casualties are 11. 11, they are taking treatment in Government General Hospital, Karnool.
And number of deaths reported, sir?
Madam, up to now, we doesn't know total figure of deaths, why the bus has caught with fire and it has become, it is a very tragic situation. Approximate the deaths are around 28 to 30.
And also, sir, what are the relief measures which the government is providing on ground? Because we see this is a massive fire accident that has taken place.
Sure. The government is with the people. We will take a necessary measure to the families of wounded, deceased and dead people. In short time, we'll come to know what are the relief things we are going to give into the dead people.
First up, I want to understand from you what you're making of the situation. Have you been able to assess all that's happened the last few hours since the fire incident took place?
Yeah, in a very hot, tragic manner. We have seen that a bike has collided with the bus and resulting in a fire breaking out in the bus. And as you can see, the bus is right behind and many people have lost their lives. They have been burnt alive and several bodies are in the bus. And we are here on the ground since the incident has happened for the past 4 to 5 hours. As you can see here, the government employees, the administration, police and the doctors have responded very fastly and they are doing very fastly what they can help to the people who have been injured. And our Health Minister Satyakumar Garu has also ordered the government doctors here to set up a camp. If you can go back, there is a camp here so that they can do postmortem and related forensic examinations faster to identify the people who have been burnt and charred inside. Apart from that, it is now estimated that nearly 12 people have jumped from the emergency exits and emergency windows. And fastly, the government employees, the staff has reacted and they have been transferred to the government hospital. 11 of them.
Viewers, India's private sector is involved in purchasing oil from Russia. Today, one of the biggest private sector companies involved in lifting crude from Russia, Reliance Industries Limited, has come out and said whatever decisions it takes, it will take in the future in the national interest. The statement put up by RRI says, and I quote, "We have noted the recent restrictions announced by the European Union, United Kingdom and the United States on crude oil imports from Russia and export of refined products to Europe. Reliance is currently assessing the implications, including the new compliance requirements. We will comply with the EU's guidelines on the import of refined products into Europe. Whenever there is any guidance from the Indian government in this respect, as always, we will be complying fully. Reliance has consistently aligned itself with the objectives of ensuring India's energy security. The company remains fully committed to managing and maintaining its long-standing and impeccable record of adherence to applicable sanctions and regulatory frameworks and will be adapting the refinery operations to meet the compliance requirements." Viewers, that's a comprehensive statement from RIL. I leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
We're shifting our focus now. A Bengaluru-bound private bus carrying around 40 passengers caught fire early today in Andhra Pradesh's Kurnool district, killing at least 20 people. The bus collided with a two-wheeler, which got trapped under the vehicle and struck the fuel tank, triggering the massive blaze. What makes this tragedy even more concerning is the bus's troubling history of 16 outstanding challans, including overspeeding, dangerous driving, and violations for no entry. Furthermore, the driver was reportedly operating the bus without a valid driver's license. The state government has condoled the deaths, and questions are now being raised over the safety of these buses. In response, Prime Minister Modi has also gone on to announce a 2 lakh rupees ex gratia for the victims' families.
Sir, what exactly happened and why did this fire accident take place? What is the reason behind this fire accident, sir?
This accident is unfortunate and we are condemning this incident. At the time of morning 2:45, up to our knowledge, department, what is the information our department has collected, one scooter has gone under the bus, front side of the bus, and the tank busted and electric circuit has failed. A total bus caught with fire.
Sir, what is the number of casualties which have been reported and also how many passengers were traveling when this incident had taken place?
More than 40 to 42 passengers are in the bus when the incident has took place. Now the casualties are 11. 11, they are taking treatment in Government General Hospital, Kurnool.
And number of deaths reported, sir?
Madam, up to now, we doesn't know total figure of deaths, why the bus has caught with fire and it has become, it is a very tragic situation. Approximate the deaths are around 28 to 30.
And also, sir, what are the relief measures which the government is providing on ground? Because we see this is a massive fire accident that has taken place.
Sure. The government is with the people. We will take a necessary measure to the families of wounded, deceased and dead people. In short time, we'll come to know what are the relief things we are going to give into the dead people.
First up, I want to understand from you what you're making of the situation. Have you been able to assess all that's happened the last few hours since the fire incident took place?
Yeah, in a very hot, tragic manner. We have seen that a bike has collided with the bus and resulting in a fire breaking out in the bus. And as you can see, the bus is right behind and many...
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. India has cleared a massive $9 billion defense deal. It's a boost for Made in India weapons and a message to our adversaries. India does not want war, but it is prepared for one. Meanwhile, as global economies stumble, India defies the headwinds. New projections show strong growth for the year ahead. In Moscow, President Putin says he won't bow down to US pressure as oil sanctions push up prices and force Russian buyers to recalibrate. In Washington, a commercial break turns into a diplomatic break. Trump has called off trade talks with Canada.